when a competitor is going to charge them $20,000 for an audit, and I come in at $8,600, for example, now they're like, okay, well, we're used to seeing prices of $20,000, and you're coming in at 86, but you have all these awards, you have all these accolades, you have all this stuff behind you. How can we possibly take you seriously now?
Welcome back to another installment of the Next Gen Case Study Series. On today's episode, we have Terry Cutler, who is the CEO and ethical hacker at Cyology Labs, Inc., a Montreal-based cybersecurity firm. As an award-winning cybersecurity expert and ethical hacker, Terry is also the author of the Amazon bestseller Inside Secrets to Internet Safety. He's recognized as one of the top 20 most influential people in cybersecurity by IFSEC Global in 2018, 2019, and 2020. And he recently received the Global Thought Leader Award from the Life Safety Alliance for 2024. He's helped businesses, governments, and individuals secure their digital assets through his company and popular online training platform, Internet Safety University. And we're excited to have him on the show. Terry, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful, man. This is exciting. I got a ton of stuff I want to pick your brain on with the work that you're doing at Cyology. But before we get too deep into it, Terry, can we start with just a quick couple of minutes on your background? You know, who you are, where you came from, and how you landed as the CEO of Cyology.
Sure. Well, I've been passionate about computers since the age of 10. So by the time I got to college, I've been playing with computers every day ever since then. By the time I got to college, I felt I knew more than a teacher. So I actually dropped out of college, went to a specialized school that only taught me about computer networking. So for those of you that are my age, I specialize in Novell technology. Okay? It's like dinosaur now, but then eventually went on to work for the company Novell. But in 2005-ish, I started getting inspired by watching shows like CSI and 24. Remember Jack Bauer? I was like, how does Chloe O'Brien break in all these systems so fast? And that's when I learned there was a course called the Certified Ethical Hacker, where they teach you the same techniques that the bad guys used to break in, except using these skills for good. So luckily, I got a chance to fly to Washington, where I trained with the FBI, the CIA, and Navy SEALs that were in my class. And armed with that knowledge, I felt it was my duty to give back to the general public and business owners on how to protect themselves online. So then eventually my name started circulating. I started appearing on most of the media outlets across Canada. And then I do a lot of keynote talks around the world, but I couldn't be in 50 places at once. So I took everything from the head, put in a digital product called Internet Safety University, where today has just over 40,000 students from 150 countries. So I push out content through there and through a mobile app called Fraudster. And I just try to keep people up to date with the latest frauds and scams to watch out for so they don't get popped.
And it's a quickly evolving space. A lot of people, we just don't recognize or don't realize how often this kind of stuff is going on behind the scenes and what you can do to even be proactive about protecting yourself.
Yeah, and that's my challenge. Is like I've been doing the consumer stuff for a very long time, and unfortunately, they don't care about cybersecurity until it's too late. I mean, obviously, cybersecurity is a very dry subject, and that these guys are about to get into a scam, but they don't believe it until it's too late. Then when they get hit, their bank accounts are drained, their life savings are drained. I'm like, but this could have been avoided had you just watched my video that I posted like 4 times in a week. It's just, it's too bad.
Yeah, it feels like I get that whole idea of playing the role of a media company while also running an actual company, and having to. There's only so many things that you can talk about, and you have to reiterate it over and over and over again. And every time the message gets a little bit different, but it's evolving in a way that becomes more simple for people to understand. The problem now becomes, how do you reach the right people and how do you get them interested in the work that you're doing? So I wonder, Terry, if you could share a little bit about your early experience in how you were, how you kind of built the company, how you were finding your clients, and how you were, juggling that multiple responsibility act.
Yeah. So it was a big shift back in 2010-ish. So I'm a techie by heart. So it's very, very difficult to start talking to someone who's not a technical person, start spewing out technobabble to these people. They have no idea what you're talking about. So there has to be a way that I can bridge the technical into the layman's terms. And that's when I started getting on to internet marketing courses. So I'm a big follower of guys like Jeff Walker, Russell Brunson, Frank Kern. They find ways to like distill that information and then make it accessible to a lot of people at the same time. So kind of like selling from the stage. And
Mhm.
that's where I've been doing a lot of stuff. I provide a ton of value, no cost, no risk, no contract required. I'm going to show you I can help you by actually helping you with some of these types of audits and such. But then how do you automate that? Because
Mm,
I could be talking to a crowd of 2,500 people. And what happens if 100 of these people show up at the same time? Like I'm screwed. Like how are you going to service all these people?
right.
So that's when you started looking into funnels and a lot of automation behind the scenes to capture all these leads and nurture them and make sure that they're satisfying and not falling through the cracks.
Mm. Yeah, a lot of moving parts, a lot of cogs in the machine, and as you pointed out, if you get one of them wrong, you could end up with a big problem, a good problem to have, too many clients or too many people knocking at the door, but a problem nonetheless. So let's talk about maybe some of the key revenue milestones that you've kind of reached here through the journey. Starting back in 2010, you're just getting lift off. There's some wind under your wings. What was the first kind of point where you went, oh, you know what? I actually need to build a team, or I need to hire somebody or expand a little bit. When did that occur for you?
Um, yeah, I was around that time frame as well, where people were coming in to um, ask for certain types of audits where I didn't have the skill set for it. However, I can partner up with somebody who can complement me. So I've always been a fan of partnering up with other people, including competitors.
Hmm.
So I do a lot of co-opetition. It's at the point now where there's so much trust where I can have a full-on competitor jump on a call for me, scope it, provide the quotes and everything for me on my behalf. So it's like a consortium that would complement our skill sets. And and then that's where we found the best leverage. So
Yeah, there's this really nice balance between, focusing on your talents and your skills, but then also bringing in adjacent skills that complement the work that you're doing.
yeah, it's at the point now where multi-$100 million companies are calling me up to partner with us because I have such a strong brand in the cybersecurity world. So I built that thing from scratch. And I think one of the biggest assets that I had was learning how to do video editing and scripting it. So
Hmm.
I've been building my own videos from script to screen since 2013. So that's and then with the media appearances and the YouTube and whatever, it has a nice audience behind it.
Yeah, that's something that a lot of businesses kind of overlook or don't give enough value to is the brand recognition, or the power of having a reputation for being somebody who provides value, whether that's online at events, in real life, that's speaking gigs or on stage, that sort of thing. Um, the ability to grow your audience and then serve them in all of the ways that they need to be served is I think a key foundation in the structure of building a business, on especially in this increasingly digital world. So when it comes to kind of your strategy here, from the 30,000 foot view, yeah, create content, put it online. But what else is involved in all of that?
Um, well, there has to be, yeah, the content piece is very, very key for me. I got to put out timely content that speaks to a problem that most people would probably have and make them say, oh, yeah, is that me? Oh, yeah, or it is me. Let me click on this link. And from there, I can take them through a journey to, to help them by providing as much value up front at no risk. I'm going to gain their trust. They're going to like me, and people buy from people they like and trust. So that's really the essential goal.
Right. Once you've established that trust, or provided some upfront value, now they are a little bit more inclined to want to work with you. And
Correct.
um,
I think what's
so
my biggest problem that I'm having is that because I have so much content out there, so much stuff that people have never heard. Some people have never heard me before, which is a shame. And so when they Google Terry Cutler, they're like, "Holy crap! Like there's so much stuff. Like there's 15 years of content." And
right.
also when they see this stuff, they're like, "Okay, I'm buying." Like, shut up. Where do I sign?
Yeah.
The last year has been like that. It's like, okay, stop talking. Where do I sign?
And do you think that's because you've spent so much time kind of honing in, or iterating on the message, or is that just on the sheer power of the brand and or is
It's
there a combination of both? Like how do you attribute the success to that?
it's the sheer power of the brand. However, I think I'm doing a very lousy job of presenting it properly.
Mm,
So when people finally, like I said, when they find me and they see it, like all the treasure trove of all the stuff that I've been doing, they're like, "Oh man, why have I not heard of you before?" Well, that's on me now. I got to figure that part out, and I can't find the right person or company that's been in my shoes to be able to do this. That's one of the challenges.
it's so interesting. I remember watching an interview with I think it was Alex Hermosi on Diary of a CEO, and he was talking about a study they did on the world's most successful people and what attributes made them so successful. And he said that they were able to distill it down to two really big things. One, they were delusionally confident about their ability to do something well for other people. And then the other one was they were absolutely self-deprecating, hated everything they did, and were the hardest critics of themselves. And Terry, talking to you, I'm starting to kind of see this. And I don't mean to offend when it's
No worries. I
hyperbolic, right?
feel
Just
like
for
I'm
this,
number two there for sure.
right? For the sake of the conversation here, it just yeah, there was this confidence that like I'm smarter than my teacher, right? There's this moment where you're like, listen, actually, I think I got a grasp on this, and you go out into the world bravely with this idea, and then as you go through it, you're like you're really hard on yourself and you push yourself, and
Oh yeah.
um, it seems to me like you've struck a nice balance between those two things. You seem well put together. How did that come about?
I'm very, very, very hard on myself. And a lot of people call me a perfectionist, but in fact, it's never perfect. I'll be at the point where, let's say, a 5 minute video could literally take me 3 hours to create. You're like,
Mm.
how is this possible? It's because I wanted to have it in one take. I don't want it to look like it's been chopped. So I'll make sure the teleprompter is working properly. I want to make sure the lighting's right. All of a sudden, like I'll do the video. I'm done. All of a sudden, like, oh man, I had a chair arm sitting in my view. Now I got to redo the video. But I have to learn that scrappy is the new normal.
So when it comes to some of the goals that you're kind of setting for yourself and for the business, I know we kind of pointed at that you're hard on yourself and all that kind of stuff, but you got to give yourself a little bit of room to grow and a little bit of room to experiment or try things out. What sorts of things are you aiming at now in terms of revenue goals or customer acquisition goals? Like, what does that look like for the future
the
of
last
Cyology?
the last couple of meetings I've been having this year has actually been around acquisition. So bigger companies are looking to acquire um, growing companies,
Hmm.
and what's interesting is that obviously I've been experimenting with ChatGPT for almost a year now, and I was surprised that ChatGPT knows more about me than I thought. And when I started doing the what do you call it, like the business valuation,
Hmm.
it tacked on close to $3 million of valuation because of my brand. So I found that interesting. Um, so my goal is going to be a $20 million exit.
That's yeah, that's a pretty aspirational goal. But how far away are you from achieving that goal, and what sort of challenges do you think are standing in between you and achieving that?
Me. It's all me. I sometimes yell at myself in the mirror. I'm like, get out of your own way. It's like I try to do it all myself because I sometimes don't trust someone else to do it. And yeah, I need to learn to get out of my own way.
Well,
So
how
we
much
were
of you likes it, Terry? Like I can relate to that. Like, I don't want to let this go or I don't trust somebody. And I think that these are stories that we tell ourselves because it makes us feel better about making a bad decision. Because it's sometimes it is a bad decision because you get in, like you said, you get in the way of the efficiency or you get in the way of production or you get in the way of a specific outcome. But at the end of the day, it's like actually I really love doing these activities and they provide me with the purpose or they make me feel like I'm actually doing something. So like how much of that do you think kind of creeps into it all?
I secretly love it. It as much as it burns me and burns me out, I love the grind.
Hmm.
Um, I'm scared to delegate because a lot of times I'll delegate to somebody and it's like, but I don't have time to train you on what I want. I'll just do it myself. And people always tell me, "Oh my God, Terry, you make it look so easy." But if they see how much pain and suffering goes through to creating some of this stuff, they'll eventually say, "Okay, this is not for me."
Right.
But yeah, I got to learn to get on my own way, delegate more. That's the only way I'm going to grow this thing to where I really want it, is to delegate or work with people that have been there and can help me grow. It's like saying, like I've had so much people in the past that say, "Oh, Terry, I can make you a star." So it's almost like having a 500-pound fitness coach come to you and say, "I can make you fit."
Right.
It doesn't make any sense. So, and some of these guys that you really want to work with, like the Tony Robbins of the world, they're way too expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So it's to find that right little balance that can bring you to that next level quicker.
I remember going through one of Russell Brunson's funnels, and uh, I'll be honest, I was a little bit untruthful just to see where the whole thing would go. And I ended up at a dead end where basically the offer was I pay him $1 million, and then me and him and my team and his team will work together for the next 12 months and build a $10 million company out of it. And I just thought that was so fascinating because I don't know how many people have $1 million to just hand over to Russell Brunson.
Yeah.
However, if you did have $1 million and you were going to hand it over to a person to help you make a big business, he would be the right guy to do it. He's
So
got
here's
such a
here's my
track record. And
here's my challenge with this.
Mhm,
So, I've gone through so many years of his stuff, everything from 10x Secrets, Linchpin, Expert Secrets. The challenge that I have is that all of my items are high ticket.
mhm,
So some of my items could go from, $10,000 to $100,000. Nobody's going to enter their credit card number online without talking to us first.
right,
So I've grown the business offline via the funnel, if that makes any
right.
sense.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a an element. Who was it? Aaron Fletcher, the Fletcher Method. This is like a one-to-many kind of group consulting or coaching kind of offer, and it is a high ticket offer. But the idea is that once you build a funnel, the whole funnel is all only meant to direct people into booking a call in your calendar. And then once you have the opportunity to have a conversation with them, now you're getting some traction.
Right.
But you need a pretty hefty investment behind you to be able to achieve that outcome. And I get it, like selling something that's $25 to $100 online, people are okay losing it if it's a scam. Right.
Yeah.
I know myself, if I buy something that's $63 and it comes and it's not what I expected, or it never shows up, like I'm not chasing after $63. It's just not
Yeah.
worth my time.
Yep.
But if I spend, 300 to 1,000, now I need a little bit more. I need a little. The trust factor kind of goes up, and so
Yep.
it takes a little bit more to get people to tip over the scale. So, what makes your approach to this whole thing unique to you and your business?
Okay. Here's where I struggle greatly. So there's a term called moving the free line. I don't know if you know what that is.
Hmm.
It's where you're not charging for something, but it has very, very high value. And because you have all this credibility behind you, you can charge the high ticket price after that, no problem. The challenge that I have is that because I don't have all this overhead of these fancy offices, I don't have the Lambo, not yet. I don't have all this overhead where now I can pass that cost savings off to the client.
Hmm.
So when a competitor is going to charge them $20,000 for an audit, and I come in at $8,600, for example, now they're like, okay, well, we're used to seeing prices of $20,000, and you're coming in at 86, but you have all these awards, you have all these accolades, you have all this stuff behind you. How can we possibly take you seriously now?
Right.
You should be the most expensive. And it's like I feel guilty charging that extra like price gouging price when I don't have to. But then yeah, I hear on the other side, well, I would never buy from a company that was the cheapest.
Because you know what you're gonna get, right? The whole get
Yeah,
what you pay for thing.
yeah.
Chris Do, he's a sales coach, a marketing coach, I think. And he put it in a way that I thought was just so elegant. He was talking to somebody and they were kind of playing out a mock conversation about, I want you to design my logo. Okay, well, that logo will cost you $18,000.
Uh-huh.
Oh, hold on, that seems pretty pricey. Like, how much time are you going to spend on it? And Chris's response was, well, is time and important, how much time I put into it important to you? Or is it the outcome? And
Yep.
so, if time is the thing, well, then I'm going to charge you $1,000 an hour. Well, that's too expensive. Okay, so it's not the time thing, it's the value that you get on the other side. And so if I'm really effective and really efficient at my job, should I be penalized for not for not taking my time on purpose? right? And so it just the way that your mindset makes this very, very subtle shift between, well, listen, this is what the solution is worth to somebody who actually has this problem. And so it kind of changes. And there's a lot of those little mindset shifts that kind of exist in business. Is there a mindset shift that you had between, your early days in the startup and now that has kind of served you in your current growth? Because you mentioned 40,000 people have gone through your university now. Like that's that's not a number to shake a stick at. So something's working, right? Like
Yeah.
the things that you're building are very, very valuable. So what was a a big mindset shift for you that really helped you tip the scales?
My biggest strategy at that time was to, offer as much as I can for free.
Hmm.
I'm going to build up brand value. And what's interesting is that when you put something out into the world, now you have to have thick skin to know what the critics are gonna say about your product.
Mm.
So luckily, with Internet States University, it's been torture tested since 2016. There's hundreds of reviews, and it's trending at 4.5 on 5 star. So I know the content is torture tested. Like you could see the really positive comments about it. So I can go into a live audience and easily charge them $5,000 to speak in front of their crew. So I know I can command those prices easily. It's really weird because I'll get those prices offline, but I won't get it through the funnel.
Right.
So
Yeah,
I got to figure that part out.
there's a difficulty in selling things online, especially to
Yeah.
strangers, and I love the challenge of the puzzle, trying to solve it, and much like you, I I like to torture myself with some of these things because it's just interesting or intriguing, and the reward on the other side is um not something that you can necessarily put a price tag on because that
Well, it's that whole
knowledge.
selling. It's like it's that whole make money while you sleep dream, right?
Yeah.
Or you got that video of this guy in his rowboat on his laptop in the middle of the water, or the guy on the beach. And by the way, for those of you listening, I've done the laptop life, and it doesn't work. The sun is in your screen. You can't see the screen. It's way too hot. The
There's
system
sand in your
shutdowns is too
keyboard.
hot. The sand in the keyboard. Yeah, it doesn't work.
No, it's not attractive. So this has been great, Terry. You've been very generous with your time and your wisdom and insight, and I'm very grateful for that. As we close out the show here, I wonder, are there any trends that are kind of coming down the pipeline that you're excited about? Anything you're kind of looking forward to in the future?
Yeah, it's going to be around automation to
Okay.
simplify their life as much as possible, especially in the cybersecurity world. Um, let's talk specifically about what's called penetration testing, where we get hired to legally hack your business, find all the holes before the bad guys do. So an audit like that could cost, $10,000 one time, but now we can offer the service for that same price, but 4 times. So once a quarter. So because we can automate a lot of the heavy lifting, and then the humans will just take care of the reports, make sure everything ran correctly, like do all the QA at the end. So automation is really going to be key in a lot of business right now because speed is going to be a huge factor coming.
Yeah, that's exciting and on par with the 20 million acquisition because once you have a solid set of SOPs and systems and things like that, that's really what's attractive to the other side. So I'm wishing the success of that for you. If just one final word, I guess, if you could offer a piece of advice to somebody else who's kind of up there or out there and up to it, doing things and kind of taking on some similar challenges, what advice would you offer them?
All right. If we're talking about specific brand building, you need to build a personal brand. And, I'll always get the comments like, oh, Terry, it's easy for you. You've been doing this for so long, but I had to start somewhere.
Hmm.
And you have to imagine that, you just put your head down, keep put out content, just put out content. And eventually it's gonna build up momentum, and it's gonna really come easy now. That's what's happening now. I'm in the momentum stage. I'm working with billion-dollar companies. Why are billion-dollar company coming to Cyology Labs? Like, you're not a very big company, but it's because we provide a ton of value. We provide a lot of quality work. So I can say that, yeah, I was never working with billion-dollar brands 10 years ago. So just keep working, keep at it. Patience, patience, patience.
Yeah, that's one thing I think we'll always encounter is the must be nice crowd. And yeah, it is nice now, but it wasn't for the last 15 years that I've been dragging myself crawling through the mud to get here. So
Yep.
I can fully relate to that. And it's really, really powerful advice.
Thank you.
Terry, if somebody wanted to reach out to you to pick your brain further or perhaps work with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
First thing I would go to is my blog at terrycutler.com. And then, then there's ways to reach out to me from there.
Beautiful. We'll make sure to link to that in the show notes so that anybody listening or watching who wants to reach out to you can do it easily. And on that note, if you wanted to get in touch with me and my team for any of your marketing or AI needs, you can visit nextgengrowth.com. Otherwise, that's it for this episode. Thanks for joining us for this conversation, and I will see you in the next.